I've got a question about Diablo 3, but in World of Warcraft there's all these rich, lore and all these different races. Have you thought of incorporating some of those races into the world of Diablo 3, such as the dwarves?
No. Diablo, one of the things that is a driving element of the Diablo universe, keeps it separate from a lot of other fantasy universes, is it's a very human-centric universe. It's filled with humanity. There's no elves, there's no dwarves. Everything that is not human is basically something bad that is trying to kill you and that you should probably throw an axe at.
Evil dwarves?
Okay, maybe an evil dwarf might show up, but the notion of even kind of sentient races, like when we've talked about, like at one point we have a monster in a game called the Lacuni, and they have enough of a kind of a clothing and weaponry and things like that you could speculate that maybe they're intelligent. And at one point, one of our people was like, "Oh, well, we could have ambassadors from the Lacuni who's in Caldeum," and we're like, "No, because you'd stick a sword in that thing because it's a monster." Like it's very much around the kind of medieval feel. When it was medieval times and you lived in a small village, you believed in vampires and dragons because the world was scary out there. Everything beyond your village was an unknown. If we start bringing things that are really high fantasy and fantastical into kind of that medieval world, it really kind of causes it to collapse. It feels less. It's not that stuff doesn't exist. It's not that there's not high fantasy out there, but it's not commonplace. It's not within the human world, and it's not something that is ever kind or conciliatory to humans in any way. It's always something bad. So we feel that that's a real key to defining the universe. So we've gotten several suggestions on those. The Witch Doctor one, that's the one I think we like the most. The biggest problem that we have is that green is really associated with poison. And so when we put it in there, that's been the reaction that people have had is, is that my poison vial? Do I get to, or have I been poisoned? So green wasn't really a very good one. Other people suggested that we make the monk one more yellow. That turns into a urine ball.
As opposed to what it is
as opposed
now?
to a jizz ball. Which it is now. But honestly, urine ball was worse.
The Witch Doctor, it's purple now.
No,
Wizard.
It's blue. It's mana. It's maybe a reddish blue, but it's blue. The Wizard is purple. And then the suggestions we have for the Demon Hunter just weren't very viable. They were like make one side white and the other side black.
Yeah, I think that was one of the ones that I'd suggested.
Yeah, well, black doesn't show up. Like you just don't see it move because it's too dark. And white is a massive contrast from it as well. So white's almost a massive contrast from anything. So you do that, and then suddenly you just have one resource that you can see, almost no matter what you make the other one. So red felt offensive to us, blue felt kind of utilitarian and defensive. So those didn't feel off, and they're much closer in terms of kind of visual loudness, and so they work better. But we've played around. Like there's not a color under the rainbow that we have not turned those balls. And there's so many that fail.
Yeah. Right.
You've gone through every colour, but surely Blizzard have the resources to just create a new colour in the spectrum.
We have the power. We don't have the will. It's true.
I don't know. We've talked about that a lot, and where we ended up was no. And the reason was because we didn't really think it was the right decision to have you look a certain way, do your character customization, you look a certain way, and then at some point it changes. So that was the original motivation. But we talked a lot about, well, let's have kind of Horde Panda and Alliance Panda. Decided not to do that.
That can make PvP really messy though. If you've got like a 5v5 arena team of all pandas.
So we have that as a concern, but we don't really think it's a real concern. And the reason is for a very long time that's why we've had this these different profiles on the factions. We've been very vocal about that and kind of having different silhouettes for every kind of piece. I think that's something that we have in our mind. I don't think it actually is how it works. Because I don't think people actually play that way. They don't actually play by, I'm going to click on the Tauren. They play, I'm going to click on the red.
Hmm.
If we're wrong, then we'll do something else, but that's kind of what we're thinking right now. Yeah, we wrestled with that a lot, and that's exactly why we started going down the road of, well, let's have, Horde Panda and Alliance Panda, but it didn't really feel like the right
The alternatives are a bit strange. Like, do you have a Horde Panda just grow twice the size, or
Yeah,
flowers come out of the Alliance one? Or...
that's a great suggestion. That's a great
And
suggestion.
that's exactly what we do.
That
Flowers
was-
would come out of
Really, those were the only two choices. Double size or flowers.
Yeah.
And decided-
all weapons and Alliance characters would transform into flowers.
Yeah. I have a bouquet.
What's your